Hey, Matt.
Hey, Ty.
So I had jury duty today.
Is that why you're wearing all black? I mean, you look like
No,
you're
they did.
okay.
No, I'm wearing an American flag.
All right.
They did not invite me to come in today. They didn't need me, but they have me coming in tomorrow. And I
Whoa.
know they probably gonna ask me questions, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna be like, I can handle the truth.
You can't handle
I'm
the
ready.
truth.
But here's the problem. That left me a lot of time today to do some thinking.
Oh, Jesus. That's not good for any of us.
Now, one of the big things of the podcast is I don't want any of our guests to be intimidating to our listeners. I want them to
Fair.
be inspirational to the
Yep.
listeners.
That's fair.
And I read this quote where basically a mom is asking her 3-year-old, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And the
Okay.
3-year-old says, "I want to be an astronaut." And the mom says, "Well, you got to study, you got to go to college, you got to do well in the sciences, and you have to pass a physical fitness test."
Yep.
And the 3-year-old's like, "Well, that's just 3 things, 4 things." So it's not that many things, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I think that's one of the things with our guests is they seem like they're doing all these super impressive things, but we need to look at some of the stuff they're not doing. Like they are focused on their things, but they're not spreading themselves out too thin.
I hear you. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Nope. Keep it in.
And I
Yep. They're keeping it in
I
check. Yep.
I think sometimes like our episode number 1, you said no to some stuff, which has helped you be successful at the other stuff.
Yeah. I get you.
Okay.
Now I hear what you're saying. Yes.
So now I have a quote from this is a guy named Ben Sira, who is a Jewish rabbi a couple hundred years before Jesus.
Okay.
So you
You
don't
follow
know
him
him.
on Instagram or something? Or how'd you find this
Yes,
guy?
he was on the Facebook.
The
And
Facebook.
and he said in the BC era, how good is a man who delights in his children, has a sensible wife, and does not serve an inferior. Now, I'm going to break this down for you.
Oh, thank you.
The
Please
vast
mansplain that to
majority
me.
of our guests who have kids, like their kids and their families are their top priority.
Sure.
Okay.
I would say
And
all of our guests would have that just
all
to
of our guests.
blank.
And
Yes.
and we know a lot of our guests. So we have seen our guests leave different situations because their
Yeah.
kids had a thing. Like
Right.
it's a common thing.
Yeah.
Okay. A sensible spouse. That's where I'm like, I'm not sure if sensible people find each other or they rub off on each other or if it's
Or do
pure
opposites
lust. But like
attract?
when I saw Anne the first time in the library in the fall of 1989, I was not like, that's a sensible girl. That wasn't the first thing that drew me to her.
Was it her lisp? Oh, no, I'm
No,
sorry. That was your daughter.
that was her daughter. And then the final thing is do not serve an inferior. Now, this is where most of our guests are farther along in their careers, and most of them are either their own boss or they chose their partners. But I loved what Blake Woods said in the last episode, and it was the advice he got from Brian Martin: go work for somebody who's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because early in your career, you can't just go out. Sometimes you can, but you can't always just go out and say, I'm going to be my own boss
Right.
or, I get to choose my partner. Sometimes you have to figure out who you're going to work for. Now, here comes my cheat code, right? As you know, one of my favorite books when I was in junior high was a book called I Am Third by Gale Sayers, the NFL Hall of Famer for the Chicago Bears.
Yes.
I am third means that Gale Sayers put God first, his family second. He was always third. So if you're in a certain working situation you don't love, but you put your family above you,
Sure.
that's your cheat code. That means you are not serving an inferior,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then we know about the 12 steps of AA and the higher power thing. And basically, if you're putting your higher power above you, then you're not serving an inferior.
That's right. You're turning your power over to something else.
And
Yes.
this is where I'm not preaching, I'm just observing.
Uh-huh.
But like, if you noticed, if you watch any football, the Indiana quarterback, the Ole Miss quarterback, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, they are definitely serving somebody else. Every time they interview, it might make ESPN uncomfortable, but every time they're interviewed, they are talking about something higher than themselves.
Okay.
So this is all in a blog that I wrote today. I just gave you an introduction, and now we got to figure out what to do with it. I go into even more detail. It's great.
So Ty, and I know you and I have the equal amount of experience in the world of podcasting and social
Yes.
media and brand awareness. And so I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is you want to get viewers and listeners. That's my
Yes.
understanding.
Yes.
Don't know if that's right.
Yep.
Don't know if that's right. But so you writing that whole blog and then mansplaining it to me for the last 5 minutes, I don't feel is really getting the interaction that we need or want from our viewers or listeners. Am I wrong
think
there?
it is because tonight's guest, Nick Manis, who we're both meeting for the first time.
Yep.
You quickly look at him and you're like, okay, he won a national lacrosse championship as a captain at Maryland. He runs these monster races, endurance races, and he's the CEO of a company I think that he founded.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
So that can be intimidating to a listener. But what I'm trying to say is he's narrowed it down to a few things. He
Right.
was not CEO of a company and captain of the Maryland lacrosse team at the same time. He wasn't like going to Maryland lacrosse practice and being like, oh, I got some energy left. I'm going to go do a 100-mile race. He was basically
Yeah.
focused on his things, and it's
Each
all about
chapter.
focus. So I don't want our listeners to feel like these things are impossible. We are interviewing pretty regular people who are getting after it. And that's what we want to do is we want to inspire people to get after it.
So do you want that to be the new name of the podcast? Getting After It with Ty and Matt? Getting After It with Speed Racer and Twizzler?
Because this will be our third rebrand, I'm more taking it slow while we try to figure out what it is.
Speaking of the rebrand,
I don't want to jump at the first thing. Like I don't want to jump at Spotify's first contract offer. I want to take it slow.
no, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. We're going to, play hard to get a little bit, tease them. I don't know if they have my phone number because I haven't heard from them recently. I don't know if they've lost. I did not change it. And to the listeners that are still listening, if you're still listening, we are looking for new names. We are thinking about rebranding. If you have any ideas, give us a call or email us at housecallstthepodcast@gmail.com. And if you have anybody you want us to talk to, ordinary people that are doing extraordinary things, send that along as well.
And what we'll do is we will timestamp when the actual podcast starts versus the introduction. So Kevin Colleton can fast forward my preaching, but that's probably not going away.
You know what? I'm working with, all right, I didn't want to say anything, but I'm working on an app that just kind of cuts you out. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Well, the reason is I don't want to preach in the middle.
All right, let's hear Nick.
I don't want to preach in the middle of Nick's story, and Nick's going to be like, who's this guy?
No, he will after when he hears this, like everybody will be. No, but what you and you're not preaching. It makes sense and it resonates.
All
right. Let's talk to Nick.
Hey everybody, so welcome to House Calls, the podcast. Ty and Matt are here tonight with Nick Manis, who is the CEO, correct, and founder of Modus Solutions.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And then you also have some hobbies doing these massive endurance races that Blake Wood told us about. And you were the captain of the 2017 Maryland Lacrosse National Championship team.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure there's a lot more about you than that, but we basically want to hear your story, kind of starting from high school on up, even like what your dreams were as a little kid. Like, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah. And I'm guessing it was nothing about physics because okay. All right. Because if you're cheating off Blake Wood for physics, I just think that you both have some issues, but yeah. So no, Nick, thanks for joining us and, lead us. Tell us what's going on or where you've been, what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, born and raised in Annapolis, so haven't gone far. Went to University of Maryland and then came back here and have been working here ever since. But yeah, I mean, I think when I grew up around a family where my dad was an athlete, mom was an athlete, sister was an athlete. She's 3 years older than me, and I used to just get beat in every sport by everybody in the family, but fairly competitive family. And sports kind of ran the world for us for majority of the time, specifically team sports. So I played basketball, football, lacrosse, played soccer for a little bit. And getting into high school, that's where I started playing lacrosse and taking it pretty seriously. knowing that, it might be a chance for me to go play in college through that route. Football was my favorite sport by far. And you brought up my goal, Ty. When I was a kid, it was to be an NFL wide receiver, but that didn't pan out, and
Oh,
it's okay.
you and Ty
Yeah.
both.
How old were you when you realized that that wasn't going to pan out?
Ty, you're what, 48?
Because I was
Probably.
like a third string tight end before I realized I wasn't going to be an NFL quarterback. It took me a while to realize that I'm a senior in high school and I don't even play quarterback.
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, probably high school, like freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Still played football, but it wasn't at the level. And I don't know. I would say once I realized that I was honestly going to Maryland, I didn't think about it. I just remember that I was a kid who loved football and big Ravens fan, and just always wanted to be a NFL wide receiver. And I remember at my dinner table with my parents, I was like, "This is what I'm going to do," and they were laughing. I'm like, "I'm going to prove you wrong. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to remember this conversation." And I still remember the conversation, but they definitely won that one. So, so that
Okay.
was
You gotta
good.
give them a
But
little victories every now and then.
yeah, exactly. But yeah.
But wait, so besides an NFL receiver, so once you realized that wasn't going to happen, then what was the next thing in your, astronaut, fireman? What were you going to do after that? 'Cause that's figuring if you're
Yeah,
going
I mean,
Ty's route.
I'm not somebody who thinks too far ahead. I will say that. I'm kind of like, what's the next thing in front of me? Let's tackle it and keep moving and just, see what the plan is after that. So, I didn't sign with Maryland, for example, until it was 11/11/11, but it was, fall of my senior year. So, and at that time, kids were signing when they were freshmen, sophomores in high school. So, kind of a late bloomer, so to speak, from that standpoint. Wasn't heavily recruited, had one other scholarship offer. Not that Maryland was a big scholarship offer at all, but had another scholarship offer that when I went back to call, because I was like, I had to make a decision. They said there wasn't a spot for me anymore. So I was like, all right, well, guess I'm going to Maryland. And my dad played lacrosse there. My grandfather actually played basketball there way back when. So when he was playing basketball, you couldn't dribble through your legs because it was a travel. So that just tells you how far back that was.
Wow.
But yeah, so it was cool to follow in their footsteps, and I was obviously a Maryland fan growing up, my whole life. But I wasn't really sure how that was going to pan out, if I was going to play much, or what my role would be. So it was, kind of like I said earlier, it was like let's figure it out when we get there and keep going.
And to put it in perspective to anybody who's younger that's listening, when Nick went there, they had not won a championship since I believe 1975. So it was not this team now where they've won a ton of championships and they're in it every year. I mean, you were going to a great program, but they were still trying to build to a higher goal. Is that correct?
Yes, for sure. Um, by the time, I mean, my fifth year jumping ahead, but we had been in the national championship 9 times, I think, at that point, and lost all of them. And my dad came in; he graduated in '80, so he came in the fall after they had won their last tournament. So it's 42 years,
Wow.
which is pretty wild. So for him too, I mean, him coming in, they're winning the championship. Like, sure, they're going to win again
Yeah.
in the next 42 years, and so that was pretty cool for sure. And just growing up around, my dad's friends who all went to Maryland, and a lot of guys who are local here, and just sharing that with them was awesome. But
What were you studying in college? What was your major?
American studies,
Okay. And
become an
was
American. Yeah.
and at,
And he passed.
at this point, your athletics was purely focused on lacrosse. Like you weren't in the off season doing any of these big races or anything, correct?
No, had no interest in running or doing anything like that. I mean, look, it was a big transition for me going from high school to college, just because I played 3 sports. So, every season would flip and I'd be on the next sport. And it's always easy when something's new and fresh and you're excited about it. And then by the end of it, you kind of get over it and then you move on. So for me, I mean, that was a massive transition for sure coming in. And, typically in high school, we'd have a 2-hour practice and it was mainly in the spring, maybe an hour and a half. And I'm in the fall, it's freezing. We're wearing full sweats and it's a 3-hour practice. And I was like, we do this every day? Like, what?
Right.
It's a little different. Like, it's not even the spring season. So that was a big adjustment for sure. And I definitely had some ups and downs in college, just in relation to, playing time and balancing all that and balancing school and, all that good stuff. But definitely glad I went there and learned a lot from the people that were there at the same time as me.
So how did you learn to balance it all out? I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway, right? From, guys at your level that are playing big time Division I sports. How do you balance it out? Is it maturity? Is it just somebody, taking you by the, scruff of the neck and saying, dude, this is how we do it?
Yeah, I think the leadership at Maryland from, teammates, coaches, Coach Tillman was there the whole time I was there. Had different assistants come in and out, but all those guys are great too. My parents, I mean, my sister, she played club, she went to Georgia, but played club lacrosse there, and was an All-American club lacrosse player. So she was a big resource for me and someone I leaned on a lot. I can't really say there's one answer, and I think
Right.
what worked for me doesn't always work for other people. Um, but I think you get to a point, and I had 5 years because I broke my foot my junior year, so I missed the season, redshirted, got to come back a fifth year. Would have been there fifth year anyways for school, so it worked out really well. But but I think for me, it took me a little longer to probably mature than most people. But once I got to that point, um, and just realizing that it really is up to me on how I approach every day. And, my attitude and effort was a big piece that my dad instilled in me. Just waking up every day, and that's the decision you get to make. What kind of attitude, what kind of effort are you going to bring in everything that you're doing? And, try to do my best in that aspect, and worked out pretty well.
What lessons like would you pass on from being at Maryland? Like what lessons did you learn about what goes into being a champion versus just pretty good? And like who were your biggest mentors?
Um, Mentors, I will say I've been blessed with a lot of mentors from my parents to my coaches when I was growing up. I listened to you guys talk to Tom Ripley, talk about Brian Wood. He was my coach from when I started playing lacrosse, basically until through high school. He was a big mentor for me. My football coach, Chris Kirchenheiter, who coached me when I was young and then ended up coaching at Severn when I was there. And then like Brian Phipps, Michael Phipps, whole Phipps family, they were all Maryland grads that had been through it and, kind of helped me through the tougher times for sure. But there's so many people that I can mention there. But I would say everybody's unique. Like everybody needs to find what within them, gets them going and gets them focused. But, just for me, I love the military. I love the SEALs. Big fan of Goggins and Jocko Willink, and have read Extreme Ownership. Huge fan of that book. And I think that kind of mentality of just, focusing on what you can control, because there are so many things that go on in college and really in life now as I've gotten older, and I've realized that, that you just don't have control over. And, you might not get the playing time you want. You might get injured. Things are going to happen that you don't see coming, and things are going to happen that could, kind of knock you off the tracks for a little bit. But if you kind of just focus on your day to day and the next goal that's ahead of you and knocking that out and then moving forward, um, you know, hopefully somebody can take away a bit of advice from that. But if not, I'm sorry.
It's got this great, great attitude, and I agree with everything you said. Right, one step at a time. And, what's right in front of you. Because like you, if I look too far ahead, I forget about what's going on right in front of me, and that's when I always get into trouble. But
Right.
my question to you is, when you're in college, how do you relay that to your team as a captain?
Uh-huh.
Was that hard to do, or is that easy to do, or is it lead by example?
Yeah, I think the good news is when you're in a culture like Maryland, it's not like you have to create too much. Like they find Tillman, the whole staff, they've done it for a long time, but they find, the right people that will fit in the culture. And it's all about people. I've learned that in business too. It's all about the people that you surround yourself with. It's all about the friends that you have, like who you surround yourself with and who you spend the most time with. I think they say that's really what makes you who you are.
God,
And
that hurt. That hurt.
yeah.
Nick,
for
what's your
better and
friend
for
list?
worse.
What's your friend group looking like,
Yeah,
Nick? You need
I don't want to dive
you
into
need
that
a
right now.
you need a smart ass
The little
5'9".
bald guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need one, I got a guy for you.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
But yeah, so at Maryland, I think, the culture was set, and it was bringing in people that would fit that culture. And then once you got there, kind of learning from the older guys. And like I said, I was there for 5 years, so I got to see the good, the bad, the in between. And for me, like, I knew once again, like, what I could control. I'm not going to try to be somebody that I'm not. I'm going to be focused on my attitude and effort was like, that was my goal every day. We're going out to practice, and it's early in the morning. It's January. No one's at school yet. Like, we're there by ourselves. And, you come out of the film room and you're falling asleep, exhausted. Um, and it's like, okay, either I can walk out on the field moping and upset, or I can be the loudest person and bring a ton of energy and let people feed off of that and make it contagious. And so for me, that was, when I played at Maryland, when I played Bayhawks, and after the Bayhawks, like, my focus was, I'm going to be as loud as I can be in a positive way and bring as much energy as I can so that people aren't, sitting there thinking about the negative. They're thinking about the positive. And, we're going to be a practice whether we like it or not. So you might as well embrace it and enjoy it.
Love it.
During this time where you're still at Maryland, were you thinking at all about your career down the road, or was that something way off? Like, you're a student athlete, you'll worry about that down the road.
Yeah. The more you ask me these questions about down the road, I'm like, man, I've never really thought past a year, I think.
That's
But it's
okay.
worked.
I mean,
It's
I
okay. Yeah.
no.
Yeah. If I thought
We
down the road,
certainly were not thinking we were going to have a podcast in the 80s when we were hanging out.
right. Yeah.
I didn't think I'd still be talking to him.
Yeah. I feel like if I thought down the road too much, I would start getting nervous. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I was singularly focused on lacrosse for the most part, and making sure that I did graduate. There were some rocky points there that made it a little bit in question that my
Yeah.
parents didn't love too much, but
I can
yeah,
relate.
that was my focus for sure. Just, be the best player that I can be, best teammate I can be. And, thankfully for me, I had a really good team around me. I was a defensive midfielder. It's not like I was out there scoring goals all day long. But I was, really blessed to be a part of a really great team and have great teammates, and, just kind of be able to be myself and bring what I thought was the best parts of me to the team to help us succeed.
That's good. And you obviously did it. And, talking to Blake Wood, talking to other people, talking to Tom Ripley, talking to Brian Wood, nobody has a clear A to B, right? They don't have this, no path is a straight line. And,
Right.
It's zigzags, and it gets you all. I mean, Ty's the only one that's only had one job his whole life, his whole adult life, and because he doesn't like change and he's afraid of things. But I think it's worth, and I think that's an important message, that it's fine. It's fine to be Ty and work for one spot your whole life, or figure it out, because there's so many different opportunities that are out there, and as long as you're open to them and your eyes are open, just go with it and just figure out as you go. I think that's a great thing. And I think, I don't know, our society maybe kind of frowns upon that, or it looks negatively about it. But if you think about it, that's the way it works out for most people.
Right.
When so what did you do after graduation? Did you have a bunch of different stops?
So I did put a little bit of thought into life after college. Thought, okay, I'm an athlete. I want to get in sales. Let's check out some sales jobs. And I had a guy, Will Yateman, who had played at Maryland, who was in New York working for Cushman and Wakefield at the time. And I was like, I love New York. I love the energy there. So I reached out to him after that, and he had me come up to New York. Got the full tour of New York in 24 hours. It was incredible. And he got me some great interviews with 4 of the firms up there, and every single one of them, did fine in the interviews, but every one of them, I was like, yeah, I want to be here for 4 years. And then I, want to go back to Annapolis, and doesn't make any sense in their mind, because it probably would take me 4 years to make any money in that business up there anyway. So, you
Did
know,
you know that that was not a good interview
yeah,
response, like,
Yeah.
going
I
in, or did
did.
you
I
find
mean,
that out
I
later?
can be honest. I can be too honest at times, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I knew it probably wasn't the best thing to say, but I also knew that I didn't want to live in New York forever. My family's around here. Like I knew I wanted to come back. So
Yeah.
everything else was great other than that comment, but that one probably didn't help me too much. So and then when I graduated, we won the championship. It was awesome. I got picked up by the Bayhawks to play in the MLL, which I never thought, that would even be a possibility. So that kind of turned into the summertime playing lacrosse still, just extending my athletic career as long as possible, um, and just kind of hanging out at home. Um, and then later that year is when I was looking for jobs more seriously, trying to figure out something. I had a family friend who was in the copier industry, and he had been really successful in it. Um, and he just said, hey, you want to look at this and check out this opportunity? And I had no clue. I was like, you can make money with those. Like, how does that make any sense? So, pretty quickly learned that the business itself was something that was really fun and really competitive, and also just the fact that you get to work with all different companies and all different industries was really intriguing to me. And I've always had this entrepreneurial itch from my mom is really the one that's probably spearheaded that the most. And then my dad and my sister are just, the brainiacs who are much, not saying my mom isn't smart. I'll bring that back, but she's more creative. She's an architect. She's a
Yeah,
residential architect
okay.
and draws everything
Okay.
by hand, like creative mind. My dad is very, stern and very successful, but just in a different manner than she is. And my sister's, kind of the same way, just works extremely hard, gets her work done, and does a great job. And I'm, somewhere in between, I would say. So always wanted to start my own business. And I had some family friends who had started their own business and been successful in the area. And I just knew it would be a pretty big challenge, but it was also something where, I wanted to be in a position where I've enjoyed being in positions in my life or just something that's a big challenge, and is really going to push myself because that's where I've really found out who I am and what I'm capable of. Um, and not to ramble too much here, but back to even with Maryland, like before my fifth year, I almost quit lacrosse. I was like, wasn't playing a ton, wasn't
You're
happy,
injured,
making
right?
excuses. Yeah. Um, and I remember I sat down with my dad going back before the spring of my fifth year. And I was just like, you know, I don't want to do this. I just want to start working. I know I'll be successful if I just start working. And he was the one who told me, you're an idiot. Don't do it. And that's really where my, the attitude and effort piece came from. Cause he was like, this is all on you, basically. Like you have to own it and you have the potential, but you have to see it in yourself and you have to embrace it. And honestly, going from that point in time, wanting to quit the team, becoming a team captain, winning the championship, reaching the pinnacle for me from a lacrosse perspective that I didn't view possible for myself. I was like, okay, well, it's going to be really uncomfortable, but like, this is where I need to put myself moving forward. Like I need to be in spots that really challenge myself and make me think I can't do it. Not that I'm going to achieve it every single time, but like, that's where I'm going to figure out who I am and my potential.
How do you make the decision of, like, what you've been working in the industry, that you know the industry well enough that you're ready to go out on your own? Like, how does that process work? Because, like, in my business, in medicine, it's like you graduate, you graduate, you graduate. You're pushed along once you accomplish all these steps, but for you, you had to be like, "Is it this year? Is it 2 years from now?" And then
Mhm.
you're like, "Should I have done it 3 years ago?" That kinda thing. How does that process work in your mind?
Yeah, for me, the company I was with, the owner at the time, it got pancreatic cancer, and things weren't looking too great with the company and just the direction things were headed, unfortunately. So, learned a lot from that experience, but I got to a point where, I just wanted to kind of go for this myself. Um, and it was October of 2020, so middle of COVID. So talk about not thinking too far ahead. Um, I opened up a copier print and supply company in the middle of a pandemic when nobody's in the office, and I'm calling people and they're like, "What are you doing? Print's dead. No one's ever going to be in the office again." Like this is, and I was like, "Man, maybe I should have thought this one through a little bit. Like this might be a bad decision."
Were you by
But
yourself, or did you take some people with you?
no,
Like,
I
did you
so I
immediately
started with
start
my
team building?
brother-in-law, and
Okay.
then one of my good friends. So my brother-in-law John McGovern, one of my good friends Jack Crabtree, and so we started off the three of us in October, and then didn't sell a thing for 3 months. We're kind of running out of money, and I was like, "This doesn't seem like this is going to work." And then January 21 hit, started getting some deals going, and now we made it 5 years. Jack and John both made the decision to leave in 2023, like in the middle of 2023. And John's working for Devere Insulation, crushing it now. Jack's up in New York, doing really well. So they were like, "We're gonna move on," and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna stick it out here and keep going and see where I can take it." So
And how did you build the team that you have now? Like, how do you basically, I'm asking, like, what are you looking for in employees?
yeah. So right now, the team I have, we have 5 people here now. Olivia Kelly, who works with me, does all of our marketing, branding, because I'm in the industry too. Like it's not a glamorous industry by any means. Not many people come out of college want to sell copiers and printers. But I view it as it's a service industry, and it's based on relationships. And if somebody has a printer or copier in their office, I want them to think of us. I want them to think of Modus. And Olivia came on early on and has stayed the whole time, and she's really built our brand and our the recognition that we've gained is a lot of because of her, which has been cool. Like at the end of the day, it comes down to, can you sell? Do you have a good sales team? Do you have a good service team? Like, are the customers happy? I think that's really been my focus from that standpoint. Operationally, Yanni Udunis runs all of our operations and crushes it for us. He was a data analyst for whatever reason, decided to jump and join our team. Um, and so he's done amazing there. And between the two of them, just great team members. They're just loyal people. They're focused on, doing what needs to be done for the team in the best way possible. And, just extremely unselfish, honestly, because we are a small company. We, all have to wear multiple hats. We all have to do multiple things at different times. And there's really never, if I'm asking them to do something or they're asking me, like there's no hesitation there. And just understanding like we're building something bigger than ourselves. So, I think when I look at new people and I'm building out a sales team now, I just hired a guy named Jermaine Hall who played college basketball, went to Severn, team captain there. Um, he's off to a great start. Like people like him who are leaders in their own right. And obviously love college athletes, but just people that are leaders and want to work as a team for the team and help build what we're building here.
Is it more networking, or is it people send their resume in and then they meet you? Like, how does that process work?
Ty,
So
you
we
looking for a gig?
we
It's just
what do
I've
you
had
got,
this
man?
job for 25 years. I wanna know how it works out there in the
Yeah.
real world.
I'm just
No, I
asking.
would say I had some, struggles with finding the right people from a sales perspective for sure. What I realize is that, the hires that have worked out have been through my network or somebody that I know or been recommended by somebody. So instead of, going through other avenues and spending money and potentially not having it work out, um, I'm really just trying to stick with people that are connected in some way, shape, or form to me or somebody else at my company. And I think, we've had pretty good success with that. Super small sample size, but that's sort of how I'm building this out. And then I use the PI assessment. Steve Picardi is a local guy. The predictive index, like awesome personality assessment that I've been using, and we've created like our own scorecard for people. So um, definitely, after you screw up a few times, you want to figure out, hey,
Yeah, that's what it's all about, relationships and inside the office and outside, and that's what
right,
makes it work.
yeah.
Talk to me about the relationships that you have with these endurance races, how that morphed and where they came from and the genesis of those.
Yeah, for sure. Like I mentioned earlier, the David Goggins, big influence. Talk about like not feeling sorry for yourself and situations where you want to quit. Somebody like him, Nick Bear, there's a couple other guys out there that have just, it came across, I found out that people do these types of races. Originally Ryan Morrissey runs Peak, where I work out. I worked with him a little bit in high school, then after college. But he's always been doing crazy stuff. And I was working with him, and my uncle, Brian Adam, was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2013. And that started to like take a toll on him, and wanted to do, a fundraiser. And I was like, well, I'm not just going to do like a golf tournament or something ridiculous. Like, I want to do something that honors him, honors him pretty well. And it's something that I got to work really hard for. Um, and he got a deep brain stimuli surgery in 2020, or end of 2019. It was a 7-hour surgery, and I was like, all right, I'm going to find something that I can do for 7 hours.
Oh, wow.
So, Blake was a part of that one too in California, but, yeah, I just basically was looking for a few things that we could do. And Ryan, who I train with, said, hey, I have a buddy who does these events every year, and you can pick your own charity. And I think that year is running through the Blue Ridge Mountain. It was a marathon through the Blue Ridge Mountains. So with the elevation, it was supposed to take around 7 hours. And then that got canceled because of COVID, even though we were running in the mountains. But
Right.
so we were like, all right, let's recreate it.
We're going to stay away from that one because
So we moved it to Annapolis. So we ran a marathon through Bacon Ridge, and it's a trail in Crownsville, and then one to finish by my uncle because people were still not allowed to like get together too much. So they live in Linstead and live right on the Severn River. So we ended up swimming after running, we swam from Sherwood, the main pier there, straight across the river to Linstead.
Awesome.
I do have a comment. Usually in triathlons, they do the swim first because they don't want you to drown. So you're saying you ran a marathon on a trail
I'm aware.
and then swam.
I'm very aware.
Ty and I once canoed across that marathon. We canoed.
So fun fact, I swam across the river, got third place when I was like 12, and was interviewed by Channel 13 and was on the news, Matt.
I love it.
Okay. That's awesome. Great. You and Marty Bass. That was the first time he touched you. Anyhow.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we learned the hard way about that one. But my uncle, he was in a wheelchair at that point, couldn't move too well. So we wanted to finish the race, by him. So we're like, okay, we'll just, once again, didn't really think through it. Was like, sure, we're running. And then my buddy, so LJ Yuri did it with me. And then one of my buddies from Maryland, Nick Brzezowski, did it as well. And LJ had been swimming at the time, and, in the water and freezing cold. So I started joining him with that. And then we were like, all right, well, it's only going to take 5.5 hours to run this marathon with like the elevation and everything. So we need to find something to fill the extra 2 hours. So we said, let's swim across the river. But all of us jumped in, and we had, wetsuits on and everything, it was like 50-degree water, all jump in. And within, I'd say 30 seconds, everybody just starts screaming because it was like full body cramps. Like we just all start swimming, and everybody just starts going full body cramps. The wetsuit definitely helps keep you afloat, which is good. Wow. And then we just kind of inched our way across. So took some time, but.
When you were playing lacrosse and all the sports in high school, were you somebody who looked forward to the runs, or were you somebody who bitched about the runs, and then now that you're an adult, now you're into it?
I didn't mind the run tests and things of that nature. My body's kind of built for running, so it wasn't the worst thing. Not that I was always like, I'm so excited for sprints after practice or, doing the run test. But for the most part, like, I could handle it pretty well. But when I graduated college, I was like, I would never run 3 miles, or I would never run, 5 miles. And then really training for that, I ran 5 miles for the first time. Then I ran 10 miles for the first time and ran 15. And I was just like, whoa, this is pretty cool. And once again, putting yourself in a spot where you're like, I don't think I can do this. And you do it. You're like, okay, well, if I can do that, how far can I run? And I don't know why running is the one that I picked. But it just kind of happened that way, and that led to the 100 miles too, which was nuts. But
So
Yeah,
tell
absolutely.
us about
Tell us
that.
about
Like,
that.
how'd you decide to do 100 miles?
yeah, that one came from, we raised over $80,000 for that first event that we did. Um, and my cousin, so my uncle Brian has three daughters, Elizabeth, Jessica, and Anastasia. And Elizabeth and Anastasia, I think both of them ran marathons, and we like kind of combined our fundraising effort on the first go around. Um, and then my uncle Brian passed away day after Christmas in 2023. And for me, I was like, I want to do one more thing just to honor him. And I wasn't sure exactly, but I just heard about the 100-mile runs um, a lot just from the people that I follow and are motivated by, I guess you could say. So I was like, we've raised so much money. I don't love asking people for money. So I want to do something where if they're going to donate and they're going to donate again, even though it's, 5 years later, we want them to donate as much as possible and get other people to know about it to maybe pull in some additional fundraising. So 100 miles seemed like a good enough goal for people to want to donate, and people who didn't know us maybe or maybe were impacted by Parkinson's, would consider donating as well. So that's how we settled on that.
And so where did you do it? Who'd you do it with?
Did it with Jeff Began, my cousin-in-law. So he's married to Anastasia, Brian's daughter. And then my buddy LJ Yuri, he's just a yes man. Um, I can call him tonight and say, "Hey, we're gonna do 250 next year." Say, "Okay, sounds good." Um, but yeah, so did it
3
with the two
miles
of
in
them,
till he
and
starts cussing you, though.
it, not too. What'd you say? Sorry.
How many miles into the race? He says yes, but how many
Oh,
miles in does he start yelling at
it,
you saying this was not a good idea?
I think it was the other way around.
Okay.
But no, it was good. The three of us did it, trained for it. Ryan Morsey got us dialed on nutrition. I mean, the number one thing that keeps people from finishing those is your GI. So your gut basically just says nope at whatever
Yeah,
point, and
done.
you have control over it, but you never really know. So he got us prepared. I mean, we trained for almost a year probably. I said I wanted to do it, and Ryan has talked me off the ledge on a few things because I am married, and my wife is incredible and super supportive. But we also were pregnant at the time,
Oh,
and he was, I had talked about Ironmans before. He's like, just don't do it right now. Like it's not, it's not going to be smart for you, man. Um, so, but I did say, look, I want to do this, and there was a deeper meaning and a deeper why behind it. So he was fully supportive and put a plan together for us.
Would you say now when you work out, it's more about the competition, or is it more about being healthy, or is it more about maybe stress management of the business world and the family life and all that kind of stuff? Like, what is your thing that brings you to work out?
I would say health at this point. I mean, if you asked me last year, it'd be making sure I can survive 100 miles. But um, at this point now, it's health, and also like it feels good to work out for me. Like I need it. I need to do something. I need to do something in the morning to really get my brain going and just get my day going. Um, and that's really, my goal every day, not every day, but majority of the days is to get up, get a workout in, be home in time to take care of my daughter and help out there before I head off to work. Um,
And how old's your daughter now?
15 months, and we got
Oh, awesome.
another one coming first week of April. So
oh,
yeah, so 18 months apart, and April's going to be a bear.
you guys are you're still in a man-to-man defense. You guys will be
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
exactly.
You
I think I'll definitely be getting a jog stroller very soon, just because I can actually throw her in there and take her out for runs. Not
That's
So
great.
Matt has done a couple marathons, but my wife trained for a marathon when we lived in Texas, and I was a resident. I wasn't around to help the kids during the day, pushing two kids in a jogging stroller. So it can be done.
It can be done.
yes, I believe
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if you can do 100 miles, you can make this happen as well.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that.
The future plans for your races, and what are the future plans for your business?
Yeah, race wise, I'm done for a while. It was a lot. just 2024, 23, honestly, to 25 was just a lot business wise. And then training for the races. And I was coaching lacrosse too at one point. Obviously, having a child that turns your life upside down, and you can't really prepare for that too much. So, race wise, kind of taking a step back, and hopefully I do 100 miles again at some point. Maybe one of my kids will want to do it, and hopefully I'm still healthy enough to jump back in.
Wow.
But just trying to stay healthy with that now, to be honest. And then as far as work wise, it's been last year was the best year we've had. Made it 5 years. We're in a renewal business as well, so it's the first year that we're renewing customers now, which is pretty cool. And going into a year with estimated revenue for the first time, and it's not just okay, you got this done. Where's the next one coming from? Um, so that's been great, and been off to a really good start this year so far, and have some pretty big opportunities in the pipeline for this year that we'll be really excited to get moving and get going hopefully in the summer. So it's cool. I mean, I'm trying to build out a sales team right now. To be brutally honest, I have Jermaine who's just joined on and doing great, but I'm just looking to build out that sales team, and then I have some more in depth business ideas and goals from a operational standpoint that we should be implementing over the next 12 to 24 months. Um, but I'm excited. I mean, I started this business with the idea of like wanting to recreate the team I had at Maryland and the teams that I played with. Um, and really trying to get them. We've already done that in some cases. So just continue to kind of build this team out and see where it goes.
What does a potential client need to know? Like, what services do you supply?
So managed print provider. So the large copiers or desktop printers that you might have in an office. So we take care of the sales, service, and supply of those machines. So if somebody has one right now and they're under contract, we would love to take a look. And that's typically who we work with. We also work with new business, but work with a lot of restaurant groups in the area. Work with golf courses. Work with private schools, doctors' offices, hotels, you name it. There's right now we're in 5 different states, so we can go anywhere just through dealer networks. Our main focus right now is the DMV. It's cool to be able to work everywhere, but the size of the team that we are right now, we're trying to focus on the DMV and build our relationships within here. And my goal short term is I want to be the number one managed print provider in Maryland. So like that's what I'm going after.
Nick, you've done it. Thanks for your time and thanks for coming on and telling us about what you have going. And, I like the story about you wanting to, uncle had a surgery for 7 hours and, what a neat, I don't know, relationship you two must have had. And that's probably solidified it even more. So very cool.
Yeah,
Very,
for sure.
very cool.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks for coming on. I it's kind of back to back with you and Blake, where you guys are both crushing it, but at senior in colleges, you didn't know exactly what you wanted to do, and that's one of our themes is that it's a process to get to where you want to be, and that the goals develop as you start gaining experience and put yourself out there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you
I
guys having me on, and great speaking with you both.